Hi, everyone. My name is Erica Vincelli, mortgage agent, and today I am joined with Melany Goodhue, who is a certified financial planner. Her and I have been working together for a couple of years, and let me tell you firsthand that she is absolutely incredible. She takes great care of my clients, and I know for a fact that when she works with my clients, she delivers on everything she sets out to do. And I wanted to interview her here today. Her to join me, and I want to share her with all of my clients and all of my viewers. So thank you so much, Melanie, for joining today. How are you?
Thank you so much, Erica. I really appreciate it. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much. So I want to ask you a question. Everyone kind of thinks, oh, financial advising, financial planner, but you are very unique and special. So I wanted to share with people today, when someone comes to you for the very first time, walk me through a bit of your process and what would be some of the most common questions that people come to you with?
Yeah, for sure. So usually, a lot of people I find me on social media are through referrals. And so often people will reach out and say, "Hey, I've got a friend." It just happened last night. "Hey, I have a friend. They really are in need. They've got an inheritance coming in. What's the best way to get this ball rolling?" And so people will schedule a complimentary initial call with me through my website, and it's about 15 to 30 minutes max. And basically, we go through what their needs and goals are. We talk about who I am and how I can help. And then we talk about the right next steps based on that conversation. So, typical things that people want to know right off the hop once we get through talking about their needs and goals are you a broker? Are you tied to one company? Are you employee? Are you a business owner? How are you paid and things like that. So I'll touch on that a little bit too, just because I'm sure some of our viewers are probably wondering as well. So I am a certified financial planner, or CFP, if you will, and that's an elite designation in our industry. So believe it or not, Erica, and for everyone who's watching, up until March of 2022, anyone and their dog with zero education and experience could call themselves and use the title financial planner, which is
So
terrifying.
scary.
It's so scary. And the
Yeah.
Financial Planners Association of Canada worked for a decade to get legislation and a bill passed that protects that title. So now, unless you have a very short list of these elite gold standard designations, and CFP being one of them, you can no longer call yourself a financial planner. So it's about 800 hours of education. It comes with a minimum of 3 years of real client facing experience. It's intense. 40% of advisors who attempt the grueling 6-hour final exam don't pass it, and they don't reattempt it. And that's why there's only about 20% of advisors, planners in Canada who have this designation. But
Congratulations.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's a good one. It's what allows me to work with not only individuals, but also corporations. So on that note, I am a business owner. I do own a corporation. A lot of my business owner clients like to know that coming in because corporations are beasts. They're complex.
Yep.
It adds a definite, step up in terms of complexity and planning. And, if you're a business owner and you're looking for financial planning, one of the first words out of your mouth when you're interviewing someone is, "Do you have a CFP?" So the other thing I think too that sets us apart, why a lot of people come to us, is fee for service. So there's actually very few planning firms out there that are fee for service. And what that means and why people care about that and why that's a benefit is that it keeps us honest. It makes sure that our recommendations are unbiased, because if you're paying me for my time and to implement a strategy and to build a financial plan for you, and there's literally no strings attached, there's no tide selling. You do not need to buy an investment or buy an insurance with me. You can take that 30-page plan and DIY it because you have all the information, or you can take it to the bank or your Uncle Joe. That keeps me honest, because I know that that plan very well can be reviewed and implemented by other people. So that's why I've chosen to structure my business that way. Nobody wants to be tied to something. I like that the relationships that, I hold with my clients are very much like, as long as this makes sense and feels good and comfortable for both of us, this is what we're doing. But at any time, if things change on either of our ends, we're not tied to each other. And so I think that creates a really great relationship. If people do want to work with me long term, and I would say 95% of people who come to me are looking for that. They don't want to DIY it anymore. They want to get out of the bank. They can as well. So we can work together on a long-term basis through investing and things like that. And then that's the traditional commission structure, which Erica, you and I had talked about in one of our videos together about the word refinance, right? And
Mm,
how that word has kind of had a bad rep, and it's not a bad word at all. Well, similar in my industry with the word commission, right? Is that when you work with a planner on an ongoing basis, you actually want to be working with someone who has skin in the game and is receiving an embedded commission on your investment, because if they grow your money, then they get more money. And if they lose your money, then they lose money as well. So that's how I work with people on an ongoing basis if the desire and the wish is there.
yeah, that's really good. But I want to just clarify something, because when you say fee for service, what you're doing is you're providing a plan, and that's the fee, that's the service you're providing, and that's the fee you're collecting. So you're creating a full-blown plan that takes a
Mhm.
lot of time and energy, and you are very methodical and very detailed. So you're not just saying, oh, this is a good investment and this is a good investment. So when you're speaking with somebody, because I think there's a when you were saying something, I didn't want someone to misunderstand that you're not charging them to invest their money.
No.
You're saying, I can create this robust plan so that you can take it and show it off to anyone who wants to read. That's the fee that for that service is the plan. Then if you decide to work together, then that creates a different structure once
Mhm.
the plan is executed, or in order to execute the plan. So I think that that was really important to mention, because I for a moment I was like, well, you don't charge for, oh, wait a second. So it's
Yeah,
actually,
thank you for clarifying that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the service is creating the plan, which then they can take anywhere. And
Yes.
it's the fee is sufficient, I believe, because Robert Kiyosaki, he says in his Rich Dad Poor Dad book, near the end, it says, when you meet the right fee, lawyers, accountants, mortgage agents, financial planners, we can help people save an exuberant amount of money. And if there's a fee associated to the service, there's a reason for that. And I believe that with good agents, because I know there's going to be bad apples in every bunch. But for yourself and myself, I know the integrity that we take for our clients. And when we charge a fee, depending on what it is, it's disclosed, it's articulated, and it's there because I save my clients 20,000 to 30,000 in 1 year, and my fee is 1% of the mortgage, or as an example. So I think it was just really important to shed light on that. I wanted to just clarify that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you doing that. And that's exactly it, Erica. The financial planning process, full comprehensive financial planning is not right for everybody. And so
Mhm.
that's the important thing about that initial call, is understanding what the needs, what the goals are. If it's full planning, great. We go through an incredibly in-depth process where we either structure it as a 60 to 90-minute meeting every week for 4 weeks, ton of analysis and recommendations ahead of every one of those meetings. And at the end of that process, they get their 30 to 60-page plan. So they've
Mhm.
paid for the time, the analysis, the recommendation, the plan creation. If they want to take that and go somewhere else, more than welcome to do so. If they end up wanting to implement it together, then we absolutely can. We can set up their investments, their contributions, and all that good stuff. So yeah, similar to you, it's very strategic in terms of, the plan creation and things like that. It's very much not the traditional, I think, what a lot of people see, unfortunately, as like product sales, financial advisors being glorified product salespeople. And I wanted the opposite of that with Pulse
Yeah.
Wealth Management. So yeah, I'm a broker, got access to most of the insurance investment companies across Canada if people do decide that they want to implement, but absolutely not required to do so. If full planning is, not right, for example, I get a lot of people 50 plus who come to me and they're in that pre-retiree stage, or they're recently separated and their landscape is completely different. And really what they need mapped out are detailed financial projections to know, are they going to be okay? Are they on track? How can we optimize things? Maybe they want to also do an estate planning strategy because now they're at a different stage in life and they are thinking about that $500,000 tax bill on death and that money not going to their kids and instead going to the government, right? So there's the full planning, but then there's also retirement and or estate planning strategy that I offer, as well as recently I've really enjoyed helping people in that recently separated stage. I work very closely with a family lawyer and mediator, and we tag team to help people understand, what is your magic number? What is it that you need? And does that align with what you're entitled to? And, we map out all the different options, what's the best, and then also how to actually make those buyouts happen. So that's another strategy that I help people with as well.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really good. And I think also when we were talking on commission, when you work, and not to throw banks under the bus, but when you work for somebody who doesn't have commission, like you said, we have skin in the game. Like we want to achieve the success for the client because when you're happy, then you're going to tell other people. So if we're shisty, that's not good for business. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't make the commission go up. But what we don't have is we don't have quotas. And I
Mhm.
think that's the biggest difference where banks will say, well, I don't work on commission, but you do work on quotas. And you're only limited to your one institution, which means that you have a complete bias to with the products that you're promoting. And therefore, I don't feel that that information is as ideal in a way, or beneficial for the clients in the long run because it's not giving them a very objective view. So I think commission structure is actually really smart
It
because
is.
I have bent over backwards and like killed myself to make a file work. Oh, Ruthie's in the but we kill ourselves to make the files work, within the law,
Yeah.
obviously, but we make these files work because we really want to close this for you so that you are successful in your, financial goals. So I think that commission is not a bad thing. I definitely don't.
No, I don't. And the thing is yeah, if you're working with someone who's just on a salary, are they going to be invested in doing everything
They get paid
to
anyways.
grow that wealth? No, it doesn't really matter in their
I hear
pocket,
you.
right?
So just
So
let's end on this. So what would be, you've named a few of them, but the best fit, what is the best fit for your services? What kind of client would be ideal for your services that you would be able to help right away or that should come to you today?
yeah, so usually the 35 to 45 or 50 crowd, laundry list of goals, good cash flow, and they just don't really know where to start. Smart people, good incomes, doing well financially in life, but definitely have a laundry list of goals that they're like, oh, we still haven't done that, and how are we going to get there? So that's really perfect for full planning. And
Mhm,
then, like I say, there's people in that 50 to 65 range who at this point, they don't necessarily need a full plan, but
mhm.
they definitely, again, sleep better at night if they had that check and measure. If
Yeah.
they've never had proper projections done. They think they're okay, or maybe they have doubts and they really need some clarity on, how am I doing? Am I
Mhm.
on track? If I'm not on track, what do I need to do? Also, have I optimized my financial picture? Am I even invested in the right thing? Are there things I don't know about that I should be tapping into as
We
well?
don't know what we don't know.
We don't know what we don't
Yeah.
know. And then also what's common around that, closer to retirement age is like, hey, yeah, like I say, we've got to look at the estate now. Like we've got to reduce probate. Like there's going to be a large chunk of our estate that's just not going to go to our kids. How do we fix that?
Mm.
So, and like I say, the recently separated people who are just fish out of water, haven't slept in days, no idea. Usually there's one partner in the relationship always who does the money. And then the
Yeah, I see that
right.
all the time.
Yeah, it's common, right? We in a household, it's like, okay, you do the dishes, I'll cook. You take out the garbage, I'll do the laundry, right? So it's kind
I'll
of
pay the bills. You do something else. I know we see it
exactly,
all the
right?
time.
So recently, I'll give you a good example. I had a lovely lady come to me, in her 50s, was with her husband for many, many, many years. And she was, low income earner making about 27,000. He was the breadwinner, corporation and all sorts of income and things like that. And they had built up quite a bit of assets, right? But she really didn't understand the financial picture at all. Really wasn't sure where things stood, what she could be, eligible for. And she was very scared about entering into these conversations, not having clarity around her financial picture, what she could be entitled to, but also just having no idea of how much do I need to be okay, right? Now that I'm going to be alone, how much do I need? And so she came in very panicked, very scared. And I said, don't worry. When you
Deep
leave here,
breath.
it's going to be a completely different story. And by the time she left here, she knew exactly what
Amazing.
was going on in her financial picture. She knew the minimum amount we had mapped out all of her options. I said, here's the best, but it's not good. And here's your minimum number. And also, based on information you've given me, you're probably entitled to this number. She left 2 inches like lower in her shoulder. She had a huge smile. She hugged me, I think, 3 times. I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't even tell you,
Yeah.
this has given me the confidence and the ability to sit down and start these negotiations and these conversations.
Amazing.
I'm not a fish out of water. I know what it is that I need to ask for and to be okay. And that was pretty incredible. So those
It
are the
teaches
typical
people
people.
to reach out to the professionals. Don't try and do this alone. Like we're trained, we're educated, we're licensed, and so don't do this alone. You have a team of professionals that are here. I help spousal buyout mortgages all the time. So I totally get that side of it. I think it's just such a great way to help people feel like they're already in this massive transition in their lives. Let's make the transition with the best possible outcome. So I think that's so amazing that that woman felt like she just was ready to conquer the world because I'm sure she was just like,
Yeah, she was terrified.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to open the door because she won't stop, but
no problem.
sorry about that. Well, on that happy note, thank you so much, Melanie. I'm going to
My
put your
pleasure.
contact details below in the comment section. So thank you so much for the conversation today. I love listening to you speak. You're so bright. You're so intelligent. I just adore you so much. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for taking care of my clients, for taking care of me, and always such great conversation. I hope you
Oh,
have a
thank you
great
so much,
day.
Erica. I really appreciate you having me. Thanks very much.
Bye now.
Bye.